Good morning, folks, and welcome back to the channel. It's me, the South African Wanderer, and today I've got what is hopefully a quick video for you on what I think is the non-linear pricing strategy from Sony here in South Africa. But you can look at the graphs I've got and tell me what you think as well. So I've been looking to buy a second camera body for a while now, just to supplement my A1. And when Sony launched the FX30, I thought it would be the ideal complement to my A1 because it's primarily focused on videography, and it's good for videography, but I've got the A1 for stills, so I can put my 100-400 lens on that FX30 and then shoot videos when I'm out in the field, and also shoot my mom's videos here at home. That camera has a crop sensor body, so it has a few quirks with it, but it also has things like a fan that then stops overheating when you're doing long videos like I tend to do. But then when they launched it, that camera launched at 42,000 Rand almost. And in the US, the dollar price for it is $1,800. So it didn't really make sense because the A7 IV, which is a more hybrid shooter, 33 megapixel stills, sells here for 44,000 Rand. But the US dollar pricing is closer to $2,500. So there's almost a $700 difference in the dollar price, but only a 2,000 Rand difference in the Rand price. And for me, it didn't then make sense to get that FX30 because then the FX30 was too close to the A7 IV and didn't represent as much value as it would have if it was priced a little bit better. So what I did is I went through and drew some graphs along Sony's whole range just to see how the pricing differs. So we're going to take you through that now. So obviously you can't expect the dollar price to translate into a converted Rand price. There's taxes, and then there's import duties that then Sony has to pay when bringing the cameras in. So there is going to be a little bit of a differential in the pricing. So as you can see here, the Sony's ZV E10 is parity, but all of the other cameras, the red bars representing the price in the shops and the blue bars representing a straight conversion. You can see that the red bars are almost always higher than the blue bars because of those import taxes and duties. So of Sony's camera range, the ZV E10 is on parity with its US pricing, but when you look at the extras you get with it as well, the ZV E10 actually represents better value here in South Africa. And then as you move through the range, you'll see there is a bit of a bump in the prices. This bump, or the increase, translates to anything between 8 and 40%. The 40% being this FX30 that I just mentioned. You can see here that the A7C and the FX30 are the same price, $1,798, but the A7C translates to 34 or 35,000 Rand roughly, and then the FX30 is 41,700. So there is a sort of a difference in that, and that difference, even though they are the same dollar price, makes that FX30 closer to this A7 IV. I think on the Sony range of the cameras that they offer, that FX30 is an anomaly. The A7R5 is a bit of an anomaly as well. That's about 34%. and the FX3 is an anomaly as well. I think if you look at a sort of a linear graph, you see that what I'm saying is that they don't just use a markup that's a standard markup. It's a little bit all over the place with the exchange rate. So the blue line being your average exchange rate, and the pricing being in the pricing in stores is this red line, and you can see it's not a linear function, or it's not a standard markup across the range, with some being marked up less than others, while the the FX30, the A7R5, and the FX30 being a little bit higher as well. So, Sony's pricing in South Africa is definitely, not linear, and there is some strategic reasons for that. Obviously, camera like the ZV E10 is sort of a market leader. You want to get people in at a cheap enough pricing point, and that is an interchangeable lens camera. So once the guys are in on the Sony system, they can then possibly jump up to a more expensive camera. Similarly with the A7 III when it was launched, and the A7 IV that's currently in the stores, the markup is not as great because it's a cost leader into Sony's full frame systems. And that I understand. Where I think it becomes a bit convoluted for me is that when you price, for instance, this FX30, at the equivalence of, say, $2,200, in your lineup of cameras, it's suddenly very much out of place, because it should be a $1,700-$1,800 camera that's now marked up, $500, and is now competing with the A7 IV instead of competing with the likes of the A6400, the A6600, and possibly the A7C. It should be almost on parity with the A7C, and by doing that, you almost push people into different cameras and sometimes compromise the sales on that camera. So yeah, for me, this non-linear pricing put me off buying the FX30, and it can sometimes actually lead to non-ideal behavior. For instance, if someone is going across to the US, there is that temptation to say, hey, buy me this camera body at $1,800 and I'll give you the exchange rate price, and then almost sneak it into the country without paying the taxes and import duties. On some of the equipment, this almost non-linear pricing actually can make it viable to go across, pay for the ticket, claim the tax back in the US, anything between 10 and 15%. I don't know state taxes for perhaps B&H in New York, and then come back and declare it as a electronic import, pay your VAT and your import duties, and still be lower than the price that you're paying in South Africa. I think when you're getting into the territory of the A1 or the 400mm or the 600mm, that actually becomes very viable, because you almost pay back the price of that air ticket with the difference in the dollar price. And it shouldn't really be that way, because for instance, Sony cameras are made in Thailand, and what the price difference around the world should be is the the shipping arbitrage, and it should have a set dollar price around the world if economics were truly free. But that's a topic for another day. Yeah, I don't understand, global free trade and all of that and where it is at the moment. And perhaps it's above my pay grade. But yeah, I think this is just a short video to show you that sometimes here in South Africa we suffer a little bit because of these almost strange pricing policies. And yeah, it sometimes does make sense to look elsewhere and possibly import into the country and forego the in-country warranties and things like that. Okay, cool. We'll catch you on the next video. But for now, we're going to sign off. And we've got a trip tomorrow, Wednesday, into the Pilanesberg for 12 people. And we'll catch up on the videos again once we're done with that trip.